Hello everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of Unapologetically Christian, where you're going to find a little bit of sarcasm mixed with a whole lot of knowledge. Today we are going over our third part of the Old Testament Trinity series. We are going to be discussing a few more Bible verses, and hopefully from there we will be moving on to New Testament. Right off the bat, if you have not seen our previous videos, part 1 and 2 are in our channel. There should be a link listed up in the corners. If not, just head on over, hit the subscribe button, send us a like, leave a comment, hit that notification bell. The more people that do that, the more we're going to get this whole thing moving. And if you're wondering why it's a little epileptic in my office here, it is because I bought one of those amazingly new light bulbs that flicker like a candle. I wanted to see what the hype was and if it would be worth the $10. Do I think it's worth $10? Probably not. But I spent $10 on a light bulb, so that is what I'm using right now. Anyway, if you go into Isaiah 54 verse 5, it says, "For your Maker is your husband, the Lord of hosts is his name. The Holy One of Israel is your Redeemer. The God of the whole earth, he is called." Now what we see here is a lot of proof of singular. He is, his, so on and so forth. But in the Hebrew, the word maker is actually a plural, which is interesting. Now if we go back to Genesis, we're going to read about the fall of Sodom and Gomorrah. And if you are aware of what actually happened, what was that the Lord had appeared to Father Abraham and had told him what he was doing. Abraham tried to negotiate with God and asked that he save the city if he could find 50 people, and they worked their way down to 10. Unfortunately, God only found Lot and his family. They were the only good people in the entire city, and God sent his angels in and they destroyed the cities. But not before Lot and his daughters and his wife were on their way out. As you know, Lot's wife looked back, which is proof of a fallen world, because I'm sure of it. If that were to happen in our country now, there would be a lot of people that might have been saved that would have looked back. Anyway, so Genesis 19:24, and it says, "Then the Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah from the Lord out of the heavens. Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, including all those living in the cities and also the vegetation in the land." So God threw down sulfur from the God in heaven. Unless you are looking at this as being a pantheon of gods, which is what anti-Trinity believers think, then you have to keep in mind that there's something bigger going on here. And we've stated this in the previous videos. But what's the most interesting part of this is how blunt it is. And this isn't a translational issue either. If you go into the Living Tree version, which is the Messianic Jewish Bible, it's virtually the same. And their versions of the texts were all translated by them. It's not just a King James ripoff where they replace Jesus with Yeshua. But that's pretty interesting stuff right there. Very, very telling. So let's head on over to the book of Psalms. The book of Psalms. And this is a Psalm of David. It is Psalms 2, 6, and 7. It says, "I have set my king on Zion, my holy hill. I will tell of the decree of the Lord. He said to me, 'You are my son. Today I have begotten you.'" Yeah. So Jesus Christ is the only begotten Son. So I think it's pretty interesting that over 500 years before Jesus, Yeshua, came into the picture, that we are looking at it's a messianic verse. I'll go over it again. It says, I have set my king on Zion, my holy hill. I will tell of the decree of the Lord. He said to me, you are my son. Today I have begotten you. Just interesting read, but also talking about the Trinity, but also understanding that in previous verses, and I'll list some of the verses on the bottom here, that it says that there is only one God. That is where we get the Shema. And the Shema is Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, which means, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. But again, we're coming into some strange territory here. And a lot of skeptics don't know these verses. The whole idea of what we're doing here, and the importance of what we're doing here, is for you to be able to arm yourself with this. If you encounter with somebody from the Jehovah's Witness cult, or somebody else who thinks Trinity is garbage, or it's pseudo, or it's pagan, or whatever, that you can pull these verses up and let them explain it to you. You don't have to explain yourself. Surely you do not. And God doesn't need defending. But we are here as a primary source to change hearts and to change minds. And if we can't defend the gospel to the people that are contesting it, then we don't have a leg to stand on. And I'll give you a story here. Back in the 70s, when the Jesus people became a thing, the problem with the movement was that it was growing so rapidly, you did not have people that knew how to defend the gospel. So they were on fire for Christ, but they were baby Christian. They would go to airports, and they would go to malls, and they would go to all over these places to spread the gospel, Jesus Christ. You have a lot of very prominent religious speakers who were all impacted by that. One of my favorite people in the whole world, Dr. Michael Brown, who is a Messianic Christian, I guess. And he's got a show called The Line of Fire. You can watch his YouTube channel. Fantastic. I watch him and listen to him all the time. He was affected by that. And if you go onto YouTube and you search One for Israel, you will find a ton of testimonial videos of Jews that have come to the understanding of Yeshua being the Mashiach, or Jesus being the Messiah. And a lot of people, you know, there are some youngsters on there. I say that like I'm an old man. But there are young people, but the majority of the ones I've seen have all been people in their 50s and their 60s who were all affected during the time of the Jesus people. That was a huge revival. But anyway, to make a short story long, the problem was that they would approach people that had an understanding of science, could be atheist, could be agnostic, whatever, and they would say, you know, do you know about Jesus? And the person they were talking to would, like, come up with something to refute them. And it could be something as simple as, you know, Jesus didn't exist. And if those people knew, to quote Josephus Epiphanes, or Tacitus, or even the Talmud, to know that there were people that were opposing Jesus, they could have had a leg to stand on. But they didn't. So their response to these people were, Jesus loves you. And it became a big joke. But we don't want that to happen. We don't want that to continue to happen. So we want people to wake up. We want people to understand that there is scientific evidence behind this, and that there is also other proof, not just biblical, but things that scientists have found, geological evidences, things that people in the scientific field refuse to talk about because it refutes their claim that our planet is millions upon billions of years old, and the galaxy is slowly separating and falling apart, and global warming and all this other stuff, in opposed to looking at the bigger picture, and the bigger picture being that we are in a creation state. But you're not going to see that. You've got puppets that are going to tell you that those things are stupid. You got your Bill Maher's, and you got your Bill Nye the Science Guy / Bill Nye the Bachelor's in Engineering guy. These people do not have an understanding of biblical Judeo-Christian backgrounds. They are just talking heads. We need to know how to defend the gospel. Anyway, out of my rant, I have a couple more verses for people to go through. We're going to go to another psalm, and that is Psalm 212, and it says, "Kiss the Son." It is S-O-N, not S-U-N. It says, "Kiss the Son, lest he be angry, and you perish in the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. Blessed are all those that put their trust in him." This is another messianic verse. So there's a bigger picture going on here than just God the Creator and a long-distance relationship, which you see in the Hebrew faith, or the Orthodox faith, where you really don't have a relationship to God. Jesus came as a mediator between the two. If you look at when people had to do their sacrificing, the sacrifice and the altar was the mediator between us and God. We were separated because of the original sin, because of Adam, which put us in a state of death. Jesus came and completely wiped that out. He became the lamb. That's why we're not supposed to sacrifice anymore. But we'll go into that in a later set of videos. For our last verse of this video, Proverbs 30:4. "Who has gone up to heaven and come down? Whose hands have gathered up the wind? Who has wrapped up the waters in a cloak? Who has established all the ends of the earth? What is his name? And what is the name of his son? Surely you know." It's interesting. What is the name of his son? Well, that's going to do it for this. The next couple of videos are going to be pretty interesting, and it's going to give us an opportunity to look at Jesus Christ, Yeshua HaMashiach, as being the Son of God, but also being part of the Godhead. Again, I say, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Thank you guys for watching. I truly do appreciate it. Please hit the subscribe button, hit a like, and leave us a comment. Hit the notification bell for updates when we put out more videos. And thank you for watching. This month is a special month. As you guys may know, Easter and Passover are back to back. We're going to be doing a comparative study on both of the holidays, and I'm going to show you guys how important it is for Christians to celebrate the Passover and how it equates to Jesus Christ. Come back and check it out, guys. Thank you.